Live. That's an insult. Somebody asked me the product placement. Yeah, we are borrowing somebody's boardroom for slichas, in case you're wondering about and we're very grateful. We won't be here though in 2 days.
What's tomorrow? What's going to happen?
Tomorrow's the same. Tomorrow's Erev Yom Kippur, right? Yeah. Tomorrow's the same, and then Motzei Yom Kippur we're going to be here. Okay. Chalamoid we have a whole schedule. Chalamoid we're probably going to be breakfast and sukkahs, and then we're going to have a one night. We're going to have someone's Beis Sheva. Okay. Today's daf is Lamed Ches. We're starting from Lamed Zayin on Beis on the bottom. Rabbi Shmuel Omer Arbaton Arba Mitzvos. Rabbi Shmuel says that there are 4 independent mitzvos. The mitzvah of Tzitzis. Omer Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel Halacha Rabbi Shmuel. Rashi says that halacha is like Rabbi Shmuel in all 3 cases that the Gemara brought down yesterday as a nafkamina between Rabbi Shmuel and Tanna Kama, which is if somebody wears a sheet of shatnez, meaning a sheet of pishtan, and he put on 3 pairs of tzitzis, 3 quarters of tzitzis, according to Tanna Kama, he'd be over in shatnez because he's not fulfilling the mitzvah of tzitzis, and only when you fulfill the mitzvah of tzitzis completely, it removes the shatnez. According to Rabbi Shmuel, each corner is an independent mitzvah, so 3 out of the 4 is also a mitzvah, and memela, it removes the shatnez. The other nafkamina we had was if a person has a garment with 5 corners, according to Rabbi Shmuel, you need tzitzis on all 5, or you could put tzitzis on all 5, you make a mitzvah 5 times. According to Chachamim, 4 is enough. And the last, what? No, each one is independent. The Kalapachas maybe, Taisvis. This Tzitzis talks about a little bit of it, but I don't know. Look at 2 lines down from the wide, you'll see. Avagav do'ibel about Tosef and Skam lo'Hosef. Fine. And the last but not least was the walking Rosh Hashanah with a beged that only has 3 tzitzis. According to Chachamim, you're over on Rosh Hashanah on Haitzah, and according to Rabbi Shmuel, since it's a mitzvah, not. Zog the Gemara. So even though Shmuel said, and they said, Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel that the halach is like Shmuel, the halach is not like Shmuel. The halach is like Tanna Kama. Says the Gemara, Maisa Ravina Havaka Ozla Basreid Mar Baravashi B'Shapsa the Rigla. Ravina was walking behind Mar Baravashi on one of the Shabbosim that Shabbos Shuvah, well, it could be, it's more like the regel of Pesach. Shleishim Yom Rashi says, Kodem Chag. Okay, Sukkot as well. I was debating, yeah, l'chayra. Some people say it's 2 weeks before. Is it 2 weeks before Sukkot? Shabbos Shuvah is, no, but within 2 weeks. If it's 30 or 2 weeks, yeah. All right, if Sekarna the Chutei, V'le'yom alei v'le'yom, the Bekitzer is tzitzis became possible. But Ravina was walking behind, decided that it's better that he should not know about it, and he didn't say anything. Kadmat lebeisei, when Mar Baravashi got home, Omer Lei, Ravina said, "Mahosam ifsik." You should know that your tzitzis were already puzzled all the way back there. Omer Lei, Yamrisli Mahosam, Yamrisli Mahosam Shaditei. If you would have told me, I would have removed my tzitzis in the middle of the street. I would have been mevayish myself. It's a bizayin, especially for Mar Baravashi, such a gadol, to take off his beged in the middle of the street. Akoponim, what do you see from here? You see that not like Rabbi Shmuel, because Rabbi Shmuel holds that even if one of the tzitzis becomes puzzle and you only have 3 left, your mitzvah is still there. You don't need 4. Only according to Tanna Kama, you need 4. Rabbi Shmuel says each one is an independent mitzvah. So if one is removed, you still makayim 3 mitzvahs. You don't have to remove it. So he holds not like Rabbi Shmuel. V'omar mar. Now the Gemara Stam asks, why would he remove the tzitzis in the middle of the street? This is halacha, and the Gemara now understands. human dignity. If it's an embarrassment for a person, we tell them you don't have to be over. You could be over on a Doraisa, the Gemara says. Gemara thought in the Havamina you could be over even on Doraisa. You know, like some people, and this is actually the halacha was brought down by Beis Akisei. People use it today. If you don't have toilet paper, you're allowed to cut it. Cover the brias. What is he supposed to do? I'm not going into that halacha because it might be a deraisa. But that's the makar. That's the if you're allowed to bring muktzah into the bathroom because they used to use rocks and rocks are muktzah. So for cover the brias, they allowed bringing rocks. So the Gemara, Rav Bar Shvot, made Rav Kahano, Belav Deloi Sosur. This actually is 1/3 of Menachos. We just made a siyum. Al Koponim, the Gemara says that we are discussing the Rabbanan D'Oraisa, the Rabbanan, meaning how do you know that you have to be Mekayim what Rabbanan tell us? The pasuk, the famous pasuk Lo Sosur, Kechol Sheyerucha. You mechuyev to listen to Takanas Chachamim. Mimela, the whole rice over here, it says that a Kavod Bris is Deicha Deraisa, only one Deraisa is Deicha. The Deraisa that tells you to listen to Chachamim. Basically, it's referring to the Rabbanan. When Rabbanan tell you to do something, and it's an embarrassment to you, so you don't have to listen to them because of Kavod Bris, even though it's technically a deraisa to listen to them because it's leisasur, you don't have to listen to them. But it's only that one deraisa. Other deraisas, such as Chil Shabbos, Shatnezah, obviously all these other things, you don't have to. You have to be embarrass yourself. You don't have the heter of Kavod Abrius. Some people say the story is the exact opposite. Ravina told Mar Bar Abashi right away, you should know your tzitzis are puzzle. My daitoch, why do you tell me? Because you want me to remove my tzitzis in the middle of the street. I'm not mechuyev to. And that he says, Kavod Abrios is only on the Rabbanon. When the Rabbanon say, don't do something, you're allowed to do it even though it's technically a deraisa of leisasur. Says the Gemara, Achenami, it's only a derabbanon, it's only a leisasur, a derabbanon, because we're talking about a Carmelis derabbanani. This whole story happened in a Carmelis, which is not a Rosh Hashanah, it's not a Rosh Hashanah, it's like an open field. The whole Isser to carry over there is only derabbanon, and therefore, Kavod Abrios would push off that Isser. Hadrun aloch, hakoymetz, hadrun aloch hakoymetz, hadrun aloch hakoymetz. And now we go into the Perigat Techeiles. So the last few Mishnayos we had in Hakoymetz Rabbah were telling us things that are ma'akev one another. The two Seirim, the Minchas ma'akev the Levayna, the Yisara, and part of it is ma'akev each other. Now the Mishnah starts off with things that are not ma'akev one another. Techeiles. As a very short akdama, don't get nervous. I gave what?
Please do.
To Techeiles?
Yeah.
Unprepared. Mitzvah Aseh D'Oraisa. Fine. Techeiles is a mitzvah Aseh D'Oraisa. As we'll see, it's not so simple. There is machlokes whether you could even wear tzitzis, the white part, without having the blue part. Techeiles is a blue dye that comes from some sort of creature, and as just because we're continuing with the show and tell mode, so I gave a shir a couple months back about Techeiles in Bnei Yeshivas on Friday night, and I had show and tell, so I'm going to share with you just mamish 1.5 minutes worth of it, just to describe a little bit of Techeiles B'zman Hazeh. So, in the 1800s, the Regina Rebbe decided he found Techeiles, and he said that the Techeiles is the cuttlefish. It's a beautiful picture. The cuttlefish, if you add certain chemicals to it, I'm sorry, it was upside down. It's better.
Now I see it.
Nobody said a word. It was fine. The cuttlefish. It could swim upside down. Okay, fine.
It's like
you know.
just flipping around the pool. Big deal.
This is not Techeiles. This is a Shaila right over here. So anyways, unfortunately, I believe, and a lot of people believe, that because of this cuttlefish, and because of the Regina Rebbe, many Gdolim in our days don't accept Techeiles for what it is. Because the Regina Rebbe was completely debunked. He said that you could turn this blood into blue with a certain chemical, and it's true, you could. However, they found out that if you take that chemical, you can add it to a cow's blood, it also turns blue. So the Bekitzer, this flew out the window. According to everybody, there's a guy that down by us, he owns the mattress store over here, he's the anacle of the Regina, he still wears Regina Techeiles. Fine. He was fooled, okay? Whatever, he was cheated. Today, the people that wear Techeiles, and 200,000 pairs of Techeiles were sold, and they're very expensive. And that is this guy, the Murex trunculus. It's what's described, the many rayas that they have is because it's described as a chilazon. This is a chilazon, and this is a snail. And it fits a lot of descriptions. One of the rayas they have is in that time of the Murex, if you look closely, this is a coin that's 1,500 years old. If you look right over here, there's an exact depiction of a replica of this. Right here in the bottom, and they found the shells of this guy from Haifa to Tzur, which is in Lebanon, and they actually found a mass grave, this hole in the ground that's this larger than a football field that was 3 meters or something tall, with millions and millions of these shells that they used to produce it, and they used to make Techeiles in those days from this. The Gemara says that comes up on the shore of next to next to Lebanon, a few places, and it's a rhino that they used to use this exact thing. That 1,500 years ago they were using this guy.
Oh, it's a ride of Romans.
The whole world was using it. This is what they can make purple. They made this. One of the strongest, one of the most interesting rayas that they have, I think. Circumstantial. Were you at the shir? The Friday night? No. The Gemara says that there's something called Kali Ilan, and that's indigo. That is, they still use it today to produce the blue dye, and there's no shaila and there's no machlokes that this is Kali Ilan. Everybody agrees this is it. The Aruch brings it down. The Rishonim talk about this exact plant. This is it. The Gemara says that what?
Is it chemically?
Yeah. So that's what I'm getting at. The Gemara says that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is asli para. He's going to take revenge of somebody that tries to sell indigo instead of Techeiles, because it's so exact and the color is so similar that only Hakadosh Baruch Hu could tell the difference. Why could only Hakadosh Baruch Hu tell the difference? They're almost the same. And the answer is very interesting. They found out everything in this world has a chemical compound, a molecule composition. And if you look at the molecule composition of the indigo, you can read this number, it doesn't mean anything to me, C16H10N2O2. This is the molecule composition. The molecule composition of the chilazoin is identical. Mamish identical. And that never really happens in the Bria, like taking an orange and a camel, it just doesn't go. To have two things, something that grows on a tree, and
the same with glycerine, for example. Can come from animals, but can come from vegetable, but the end product is chemically identical.
It is identical?
Yeah. You cannot tell in the laboratory the difference between animals.
The kids those are the rayas. The Gdolim don't agree to these rayas, or they say that.
Sounds very circumstantial. It's not conclusive.
It's not conclusive. Okay.
It's not conclusive. So what are you doing? So what's the point?
Oh, it says you're not Yotzi without it.
Being that doesn't matter. So
here's the point. The point is. The point is that it's a deraisa. No, Taina. The davin is like this. The time is that it's a deraisa, and then there's no downside.
There's a million things that could possibly be.
No, there's no. The Gemara says where you find it. You find it over here. It comes up every 70 years because you have to go down and scuba divers have to go get it.
So does it come up every 70 years?
It doesn't come up. B'chlal just means that it never comes up. It says chiloza and it says the shape.
Highly recommended. Go to Akko.
You have it?
You'll give you scuba glasses.
Fine.
and you go
That's
and find
that.
them. It's very familiar.
I guess it took a little bit more than 2 minutes.
It's a lot of fun.
Fine.
So is it the same as wearing regular white? Like I'm saying, if I wear white and then I decide to
So there's a shayla if you. The question is, do you lose out on doing it? Yes or no? Rabbi Yashiv comes up with a thing that you do lose out doing it if it's not the real Techeiles, because it's not, like we're going to see today, it's not the same color as the beged. And that's an issue, he says. But when you read Rabbi Yashiv's tshuva, you see, and he says mefurish, he says, just like the Regina Rebbe was proven, everybody was so sure that he's 100% right, and later on it was proven to be false, and he's fooled, so too, this could also be the same thing. And you see that the Gedolim had a very, what?
I have a feeling it is.
Okay.
Same thing.
You have a good feeling. You have to. You have to.
It's because there's a mass grave.
Rebbe says it is. You see, there is a manoma that says it is. Rebbe. See. All right. Zog the Gemara.
If you're interested to have a real discussion on it, I'll prove it to you.
Prove it to me.
I'll prove it
Friday night.
because it was
Fine.
mastered by the Romans produced where? For anybody, for any common.
The big taina that the Gedolim have is, or Chaim Kanevsky has, it says nignas, that it was buried, and he learns nignas means that only when Mashiach comes. Okay, it's a debate. It's a long thing. Whoever wants to have literature on it.
It's a strange thing, anyway, because you have something that's a doraisa mitzvah. So you figure if you pass down like everything else.
No, the Romans definitely stopped it at one point. You see that the Go'onim, Amoraim for sure wore it, the Go'onim were still wearing it. It only stopped, and we don't know why it stopped, but we do know, we know that the Romans didn't allow it anymore. They said it's only for royalty, only the kings could wear it. There's a certain point in history that they didn't allow it anymore. We tried, we couldn't do it anymore. And it was very expensive, it's hard to get to.
No, but they
Fine.
stopping everything.
So the Mishnah, Rabbi said, let's go. Techeiles eino makeves es halavan. The blue is not makav the lavan. Rashi says there's 2 blue strings and 2 white strings. Now, even today, when we do Techeiles, it's usually 1 blue string and 3 white ones. The Rambam says, very interesting, it's 3.5 white, half blue. He says you take 1 string and you divide it, half blue, half white. For whatever reason, I guess other Rishonim, other Rishonim, obviously, that say it's 1 string, and we go like that. I don't know, all the shitas, it seems like, not all. I have here there's mamish, you'll see most shitas here, it's one string. There's one guy here, where was it here? Maybe over here, it was like 2 strings. Whatever, one of these 8 shitas. But I didn't. No, this I took off, I was watching.
Waste of time.
Oh, the museum is always? Okay, don't go to the museum, Mr. Kornblue says. Okay, now let's go to the end of the Mishnah. We'll come back for a second. Tefillah shel yad einu makeves es sharois v'sharois einu makeves es yad. This we had yesterday, and this is pashut that the two tefillin are not dependent on each other. They're 2 separate mitzvahs. You could put on, if you, let's say, don't have a tefillin shel yad, you put on the tefillin sharois. Now, how many tefillin sharois do you put on? 1. You don't. If you don't have 2 tefillin, you put on 1 out of the 2. So now let's go back to the beginning of the Mishnah. Techeiles einu makeves es halavan. So if you only have 2 strings out of the 4, or you only have white and not blue, how much do you put on? 2. What's going on here? Rashi says v'ovid arbaton techeiles or arbaton lavon yotza. So Tosfos says this is different than the end of the Mishnah. If you're missing the Techeiles, you have to replace it with white. It's not like tefillin. If you're missing the shel yad, it's enough to put on shel roish. You don't put on 2 roish. You put on 1 shel roish. Over here, if you're missing 2 strings out of the 4, you add 2 white, or you add 2 blue, and you'll have 4 strings of blue, 4 strings of white. Very interesting. Says the Mishnah, says the Gemara, Levimas Nisan the Lake Rebbe.
We said yesterday, you can't have on the rosh without the yad.
Exactly. Good point. The Gemara yesterday says, that in order to put on the roish, you have to put on the yad. That's if you have both. But if you don't have both, then that mitzvah flies out the window, and at least you take care of what you have right now. I have one mitzvah. Let me accomplish that one mitzvah.
So what you make a mitzvah?
Let me give you an example. It says you should say Kriya Shema when you're wearing tefillin. You have to be wearing tefillin. Let's say I don't have tefillin. I don't say Kriya Shema. You do what you could do. You say Kriya Shema without tefillin. Shalom. Obviously, l'chatchila you should put on shayad and shorosh, but I don't have shayad. It's by the sofer. It got damaged. It got lost. So now you put on your shel rosh. It's halacha l'maisa, Rabbi. I don't know if it ever happened to anybody. Baruch Hashem, it never happened to me. But if you're stuck with the tefillin shorosh, that's what you do.
What if you have the opposite? You have the tefillin shoriyat. You make mitzvahs tefillin on
Yeah.
tefillin.
Oh, so according to you guys, you make both brachas on shayad, or you make both brachas on shorosh. Both brachas are for each. Are for both. Yeah. That's what we learned yesterday. You just say it before you put on tefillin, and you say it as you're completing the tefillin. But the brachas are not. Don't think that bracha number 1 is for tefillin number 1 and bracha number 2 is for tefillin. Both brachas are for both tefillin, and that's why the Gemara said yesterday that if you spoke in between yad and rosh and you already made the first bracha, you have to repeat that first bracha again for the tefillin shorosh because each one needs both brachas. Says the Gemara, 10 minutes. I thought this is very interesting because who wrote the Mishnah? Who's the author of the Mishnah? Rebbe. And the Gemara is saying the Mishnah is not like Rebbe who wrote it. Like if he wrote it, but he didn't. You all have to be in the picture. You can't all three take. Then you're not in the picture. What's going on here? I'm looking. He's taking all three of them.
Making 3D out of it.
Yeah, I got it. But anyways, it's fine. Rebbe, like if Rebbe really is it not like the Mishnah, shouldn't he mentioned his shita in there somewhere? He should have said, okay, they hold it's not makiv, I hold it is makiv, or somebody reviewed it, oimer, makiv. Doesn't say it. Now, notice the lashon, uriisim oisoi. What's oisoi? The Torah is talking about white and blue, yet the Torah calls it singular, oisoi, it, not them. Milamed shema'akvim ze ezeh. So the white is ma'akiv the blue, and the Techeiles is ma'akiv the white. Divri Rebbe, v'chachamim oimrim ei ma'akvim. They're not dependent on each other. My time in the Rebbe d'chsiv ha-konof min konof. So this is very important. We say this pasuk every day a number of times. What does it say in the pasuk? Daber b'nei Yisrael v'amarta aleim v'asu lahem tzitzis al kanfei vigdeihem. The Torah tells us where to put the tzitzis, where? On the corner of your garment. Then the Torah says, V'nosnu al tzitzis ha-konof. Wait a minute, I just said, kanfei bigdeihem. You should put tzitzis on kanfei bigdeihem, and then the Torah repeats itself in the same pasuk. Ha-konof. So the word is completely extra. So because the word is completely extra, the Gemara is able to darshan, ha-konof min konof. Says Rashi, most people make garments out of linen and they're white, right? They didn't have dyes, it was hard to come by. Most garments were white and linen. Memela, we know from that the tzitzis should be white. Fine. Uksiv, and it also says psil Techeiles. You should put blue. The blue and the white is singular. So memela, I need both of them. They're both ma'akiv. That's what Rebbe holds. Rebbe holds that they're both ma'akiv each other. No. Oisoi, you're right, is singular, but it's referring to each one individual. So when the Mishnah says that they're not ma'akiv each other, it's not like Rebbe who says that the blue and the white are ma'akiv each other. The Mishnah will hold like Rebbe that they are ma'akiv each other. When the Mishnah says the not ma'akiv, meaning the order that you put it in. The best way to put it in is white then blue. Rebbe comes along and says no. If you put the blue in before the white, it's not the end of the world. Mitzvah lahagdim lavan l'tcheles. Higdim tcheles lavan yotza. El shechiser mitzvah. The Gemara is going to explain what does it mean chiser mitzvah. My chiser mitzvah. Lamed ches amid beis. Ilay mechiser mitzvah the lavan. V'ki mitzvah the tcheles. If you're going to tell me he completely missed out on the entire mitzvah of lavan, and we're going according to Rebbe, we're trying to say that the Mishnah goes according to Rebbe. That can't be, says the Gemara, Rebbe Akuvi Makvi Hadadi. Rebbe holds that one is Makv the other. In other words, if I don't have white, I don't have blue. So if you can't say that he wasn't Yaitza white, but he was Yaitza blue. If he wasn't Yaitza white, you don't have anything according to Rebbe. They mark each other. So the pshat is, Rav Yudom Rav shechiser mitzvah v'asa mitzvah. He did the mitzvah, he didn't do it correctly. Or my chiser mitzvah, the best way to do the mitzvah is putting the white in first and then adding the blue. If anybody knows exactly or seen somebody that talks about it, I wasn't 100% sure. Putting in, what does putting in mean? That he just put it through the hole or he tied it down? Because if he just puts it in the hole, like we're going to see tomorrow, it's just putting tchifa ba'al. It's not enough. You have to tie it. You hold, you have to tie it. He holds, you don't have to tie it.
If you do it at the same time.
What?
If you tying, how would you do it at the same time?
You put it in, you make one knot, and then you put in the blue. If you just put it in, it's not putting it in. Putting in, just putting it through the hole. Why is that considered putting it in? It's garnished. It's not considered sewing. It's not considered anything. What?
You have to have kavanah when you put it through the hole.
Yeah. So how does the kavanah make anything?
It does. What I'm saying, if you don't have kavanah when you put it through the hole, then it doesn't help to cut it afterwards. I learned that from my Rebbe taught.
Yeah. Okay. You have to have kavanah. Yeah.
Rashi says that it's the putting into the corner, and Toshia says that it's the first wrapping around.
Did they talk about it in the Masifta?
No, the Gemara says that.
I missed it. Sorry. Okay.
It says.
Yeah, but he's saying that the Shita says Imamish have to. According to Rashi, you're right. According to Toshia, you have to make a thing. Yeah. Over Lasiyosan. Yeah, but you're making the bracha over Lasiyosan, meaning before you even started the mitzvah. Before. So you're saying it's enough to start. That's what you're saying. So you're all like Rashi. Okay.
You start with white, then you do blue, and then you do white.
Yeah, but I'm saying you put it on. That's all I'm asking. He says according to places you have to make some sort of knot.
You can't make it. They're all
I have.
simultaneously.
Right, so that's a little weird. That's what I thought. But if it says they have to put white before blue, let's go back to it. There's a sheet there. Fine, we'll look in the sheet later. Okay. Now, this is very good. This only goes one way, Rabbi Yisai. The Mishnah says Techeiles is not makiv the Lavan, and Lavan is not makiv the Techeiles. This only makes sense in one direction, because if the mitzvah is to put in white first and then blue, and you reverse it, so the Mishnah says, you know what, if you reverse it, you didn't mess up. But why would the Mishnah say, hey, and by the way, if you put in white first, you also didn't mess it up? Of course you didn't mess it up. That's the way to do the mitzvah. What does it mean you didn't mess up?
Shouldn't they have died after?
Techeiles, no. Then you didn't put on Techeiles. That's mamish tasif le'minasa. That's tasif le'minasa. It wouldn't work. No, physically it wouldn't work, but also halachically it doesn't work. That's having tzitzis and then making it Techeiles. It's no good. That's
Physically it's doable. Put it onto a corner and then sew the corner on.
No, we're talking about the dyeing process. He wants to do the dyeing process after it's done. Techeiles, the inner makeves is the love of mai. A talis that's completely blue. And if the talis, koyach talis. By the way, this is a lot of people use this line. It's like a saying. If you want to talk about like a Talmud Chacham, like somebody really special, has no averes, talis shekula techeiles. Has no mum. Even though it's borrowed from koyach, really. It's, okay. Agobanim, so what if it's blue? So now the min kanaf changes. Until now we were saying that the beged is usually white. And if the beged is usually white, so the tzitzis is white, start off with that tzitzis that is white. Now if the beged is blue, start off with blue. So this, it's not ma'akiv, but it's telling you, but the chiddush is, no. You don't start with white. You're supposed to, if your whole beged is blue, you're supposed to start with the blue string. However, if you start at the white string, you're also yoitza, but you mechaser the mitzvah. It's not the mitzvah lechatchila. Et manami omelei Levi Shmuel aryoich. Levi called Shmuel a king. V'teisav akaroch. Please don't sit down on your feet. They used to sit on their feet. Adam farshesli laham milsa. Please explain to me this kasha that we just had. Hatcheles seinu makeves is love and love and neinu makeves hatcheles. What does it mean? Sadim b'tzitzis is referring to a beged that's white. The mitzvah la gdume love and bereisha. Over there, if the beged is white, you put in the white string first. My time hakonov min konov. V'yakdim techeiles the love and lesson. But if you put in the blue before the white, it's not a problem, like we said. Tenach love and the ma'akev is at techeiles. So you ask him our kasha. That's okay if you put in white before that the white comes first. Techeiles the ma'akev is the love and mahi. What's the case that you don't care if you put in techeiles first? The mitzvah like do mitcheles bereisha over there. It's still not ma'akev. Da konov min konov v'yakdim love and bereisha less than ba. Omar Rava midei tziva kagorim. So Rab, this is basically what you asked me yesterday. You mechamed the Gemara's kasha on a different sugya, and I was mechamed the Gemara's teretz. He's asking, why would you base it on a circumstance? When the Torah tells us min kanaf that usually it's white, the Torah is telling us white should always go first. What about in a case that the whole talus is blue? You asked yesterday. What about in a case that he's a lefty and he's not next to the heart? But the Torah says that's where it is. And Hill added, what about a person that his heart is on the right side? Okay, the Torah is saying in general, person's heart is on the left and is usually a righty. So Mela, this is where it is. The Torah is saying put the white string first. You're asking, okay, because what if in a case that the whole beggar is blue? No, but I already told you. I'm just showing you how to do the mitzvah. The mitzvah is white should come first. Midi tzivik agarim. Most talisos in those days were white, and that's what the Torah is saying. White should come first, and finished. Elo marava. So Rava says,
interesting thing,
yeah.
He brings also that the lotion of simple Techeiles is always after Hakana. So the word Techeiles should always be the last one.
Very nice. I don't know if you heard, but he says that just the dig on the pasuk is Techeiles comes after min kanaf, so it doesn't make sense that the min kanaf would be blue. It doesn't flow in the pasuk. Ela marava anu pshat. Is Rebbe mechulak on the Mishnah? Not mechulak on the Mishnah. Lo nitzrecha ela legardumin. We're talking about the stubs of the tzitzis. That, in other words, yes, the Mishnah could hold that the blue is ma'akiv the white and the white is ma'akiv the blue. What does the Mishnah say? It's not ma'akiv. In one case, that you have stubs. Stubs. What stubs? Okay, it's a good thing I brought one of these. I found stubs here in the morning. I have to find them here. Oh, here's a stub. Where's my stub? I had a good stub here. No, this is not a stub. I had a stub. I can make a stub. It's only my kids. Here's a stub. Is this kosher or not? So this is called gedil. This part is gedil. 2 times this size is the psil. Now, what happens if this got detached somewhere? Let's make it smaller. Fine. It got detached over here. Now you're left with this. So now, what the Mishnah is telling us is, since we started off with the right amount of strings, you start off with 2 white and 2 blue. So what happens on later on, I don't care. It's not ma'akiv. This guy, being that it's a stub, I'm still yotzei. That's what the Mishnah is saying. But if you notice the lashon here, the lashon is the gardim Techeiles. If the 2 blues got cut off, the koy love on the Gemara says, but you have the 2 whites left over, or the gardim love and the koy Techeiles. The Gemara doesn't say that all of them got cut off. For some reason, the Gemara says 2 remaining, the 2 of one color. No, that's what we do now. But according to Rashi, but he's right. 2 and 2, and you fold it over, it's 8. That's another point. Yisachas bring up another point that if in our days, if one of these happens to your tzitzis, it's not a problem at all, l'chayra, because you have the other side. Since we're doubling it over, since we already have 4 strings that are 8, so really it's 1 out of 8 that got broken. It's not a problem, because you only really need 4 strings, and you have 4 strings. Fine. The Amri b'nei Reb Chia gardu mitcheles ksherim v'gardu me'ezov ksherim. B'nei Reb Chia say that leftover tzitzis, the little stubs, are kosher, just like also by ezov when you're being metaher a mace, you take a certain plant and you spray him, eventually it's going to break down, like daravas, when you bang it on the floor, you're going to be left with less than a tefach. The shear is a tefach, you're going to be left with less than a tefach. The answer is, it's not ma'akiv, because you started off with a tefach, it's still good.
Let's talk about the mitzvah like it was 2 daf ago.
No, 2 daf ago when we said Ezev was talking, that's Ezev Shnit Toilas. That's something, that's by mitzvah, that's something else. That's part of the carbon. Or we were talking about the device that you use to sprinkle the ashes of the paraduma. Yeah. So we have 2 halachas here. First of all, we have that if you start off, you have to have at least 2 left over, but 2 could get cut off. And Bnei Rebbe explained that it has to be a gardum here. It has to be a little left over. Let's see what it is. Omar bar Hamdur Shmuel, v'kama shir gardumim. How much is the shir? Kedei la'anvam. To do a tie, which is in English is called a slip knot. And basically, when you go like this, if you could go like this and make a knot, you see the knot, and then you go like this and it gets undone. That's the shear. So I cannot do that with this little guy. I couldn't do it. I can't even get my fingers around it, especially my fingers. So you have to be able to make a slip knot with it. That's the shear. By the way, this we're going to learn, since it's a shayla in the Gemara, it's machlekes rishonim, but this is about 12 fingers, according to the Gemara. We're going to see later on the Mem Aleph. About 12 fingers, according to machlekes, I think Rashi and Tzitzis over there. According to Rabbeinu Tam, this should be about 12 fingers. 4 minutes according to you guys, but I think the shir really goes till 8 o'clock. Whoever wants to go till like 5 to 8, it's fine, you can leave, but it's almost impossible to do the daf in 40 minutes, Rabbi say. I mean, we need 45 minutes. We're going to try to do it in 40 if we can, but if we can't, go till 8 o'clock. There's two pshatim over here. Does it mean all the ones that were ripped and you put them all together? Or does it mean all 8 tzitzis? If you look at the Hagoyis v'tziyunim in Rashi, he doesn't say it. He says Kedei la'anav kol hachutin, and then he brings on the side kol hashmoyne chutin. Not everybody holds like that, and I'm not sure that was Rashi himself. I don't know exactly the Hagoyis v'tziyunim. Maybe he had a. But basically, you take all 8 like this, and go like this, and make a slip knot. This is a slip knot.
You need more for that.
And you need a lot more. Now you need more string. To do it all around 8, or even not 8, but around 2, 3, 4 is a lot more than one individual skinny guy.
This is why the people have tzitzis all the way to the floor to make sure.
Those for sure get cut off. If you get stubs, then you have stubs all day. No, by the way, exactly what you're saying, it comes up now. Look at this. If you go to the store today, there's 2 types of tzitzis. You have the thin ones, like this, and you have very nice thick ones, right? The yeshiva guys like the thick ones. What's the pshat in those? So it says here. Now, what if you have a very thick string and you push it, can't get a slip knot? It doesn't even turn around, let's say. You can't do it. But it's long enough that had it been very skinny, you could. What's the halacha? Is the shear the length, or the shear is that you have to make a slip knot? What's the shear over here? If it was thin, you wouldn't be able to make a slip knot. Very interesting Gemara. Fakert. Because it's so thick, people notice the mitzvah. So this is a makar for having thick ishmaket tzitzis, long tzitzis. It's minka mitzvah sayu. Of Scheinberg. Minka. Oh, you mean like instead of having 4, have 6, have 8? Okay. Fine. We'll do it in 1 minute. We'll finish for you. Uman tana the polagalei the Rebbe haitanu. And who's mechugan Rebbe that says that tzitzis the blue is not makiv the white? And the white is not makiv the blue. The sign Rebbe Yitzchak Kohen Mishum Rebbe Nosson. Shomer Mishum Rebbe Yitzchak Lili. Shomer Mishum Rebbe Yochim Ben Nuri. Ein lo Techeiles mat lovon. That's what we do today. If you don't have Techeiles, put in lovon. But lechatchila, if we can, and Mr. Kornbluth is going to prove it to you, Nachman. Maybe you should wear Techeiles. It's very important. It sounds like a b'diavad over here. Hey, Techeiles, matalovan. No, not anymore. I have Techeiles at home.
We don't have Techeiles.
But anyways, you know what? Just like we said that people should wear your Rabbeinu Tam, everybody should wear Techeiles at least one time. Go over to a Regina guy. What?
Rabbeinu Tam is not a shiloh, it's Rabbeinu Tam.
It's not a shiloh. This is Murek's trunkless. The shiloh if it's right.
This is the whole shiloh, if it's the right thing.
Right. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. What are you worried? What are you so worried about?
I like.
It seems like you had this fight with your father.
No,
That's
I like the things that John said. Come on.
His father wears
That's
Techeiles.
what we do. Everyone.
What? If you hold his makiv, he has a very good point. He has a very good point. If you hold this makiv, you can't even wear it in Rosh Hashanah and Shabbos. It's a major problem. You can't. What? And you're wearing shatnez. If you're wearing the Hasidic tzitzis, you're wearing shatnez. Fine. Have a great day. We'll start from Omar Ravo.
Why don't you have two strings of pillars? Why?
First you go like this, and then you.
We're ending by Omar Ravo.